Robyn, and Robyn and I were partners. Robyn and I partner with each other. Robyn and I partner with each other in raising our children. So I said to Robyn, hey, partner, we're buying a house because my job is to roof your children. Janelle was just very, very comfortable renting, but she only has one child at home. And so she can keep renting. But that's on Janelle. That was Janelle's choice.
Hey friends, it's Kody from Without a Sister Wife. Welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Do you ever see clips of sister wives from other countries like Australia or TLC in UK? And you see clips and you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't in the episode that I watched. We've talked about this in the past, but there was this, 4 or 5 minute clip as a part of Kody and Janelle's fight about Coyote Pass. It was like an episode 2. I think when Janelle and Maddie were driving to Montana to go look at property, that piece of property that they never bought, and they were discussing how Coyote Pass had not been paid off yet. And there was this whole section from I think this is in the Australian version, that we didn't get to see. And it was all about buying Christine's house. And Kody made this comment about how, he was not partnering with Janelle. And Janelle didn't want to buy a house. She was okay renting, which is exactly the opposite of what they had been fighting about the whole fight. The previous season had been that Kody wanted her to buy Christine's house instead of giving her money to pay off Coyote Pass so that she could build a house on Coyote Pass instead of moving forward on the property. He wanted her to buy a house that she didn't want. And she and he got into a fight out on Christine's patio about buying this house. And at the time, he was saying that he was just trying to find creative reasons for why she would do this in that episode. He said that, he didn't have the money for Coyote Pass, but did have the money for a down payment. Well, we know that Janelle in that season had said, he just wants my credit, right? Well, Janelle actually expanded on what he wanted and why he wanted this house. And we were never shown this. And so what I did was I watched this clip, and then I went to the Max app that I have, and I watched Sister Wives there, and I watched this episode, and I was like, none of this was in the episode. Why do we get a different edit? I feel like Australians and UK people get a bigger picture of what they're dealing with.
He really loved the hot tub on Christine's deck, and he just really wanted to hold on to this house because then he wanted to run his business out of it, or he could see himself in this house doing things. But he wanted me to buy it because I needed a house. And he was mad. He's like, well, I tried to get you into a house. I offered you a house. He didn't offer me a house. He didn't say, let's go finance a house together. He said, why don't you buy this house so I can use it? Essentially, I can use it was kind of implied.
So Kody wanted Christine's house because apparently he likes to hot tub. Kody, you could just buy a hot tub for Robyn's house. They're not that expensive, and they're less expensive than buying a whole new house with a mortgage payment. Kody, that's just weird, and it just shows you how he manipulates them into thinking that it's for them, but it's really for him. So he wants a house, but he can't afford a house. He can't afford to pay for property, but he wants Christine's house, and he wants Janelle to buy the house so that he can use the house and have the hot tub, use the house for his office and work. But wait a minute. I thought the reason Kody was at Robyn's house all the time was because he had an office at Robyn's house and that he didn't need to be anywhere else because he was working at Robyn's house. Remember, he said he worked at Robyn's house at Vegas, and I was assuming that his office traveled with him. And if you could see me in air quotes, you would see that I'm air quoting office because we all know Kody doesn't really work, and it's telling to me that he wants her to get a house. He wants the hot tub. He wants to use the house, but he's not worried about Savannah or the kids. He just wants it for himself. It's nothing to do with her. So really, it's like all Kody ever was doing with her was using her for her money. And we get in the U.S. That whole section isn't even a part of it. And there's more, you guys, There's more we know now that Robyn was busy buying dolls.
It was we could buy this house, meaning you could go down and finance it and you take the mortgage and you pay the mortgage, but I'm going to be here and we're going to live in this house and this is going to be our house. You know what I mean? No. But I used to always be surprised at how nice her backyard was. It was completely finished and there was always stuff at her house. And I'm like, wow. After a while, I began to see it and my kids were getting very angry about it. My adult children are like, what the hell?
We know now that Robyn was busy buying dolls, lots of them, and doll clothing and crap that she didn't need. And they were spending money like it was going to never dry up and not prioritizing where their money went. This was the episode where Robyn shamed Janelle for not prioritizing or budgeting. But it's also the same episode where Kody says he can't afford to pay Janelle off. And it's because Robyn is spending all this money. I'm going to dive into what she spent in 2022, in 2023, to look at why it was that she couldn't pay this off and how much she spent on doll clothes instead of paying things off. And to be clear, I don't care if someone has a collection, okay? I don't care if someone collects Barbies or dolls or journals or unicorns or dinosaurs. Like my son, I don't care about collections. What I care about is you buying things and collecting things and hoarding things. When you have other responsibilities and debt to pay, when you're buying things instead of paying people back, it's not her money to spend. When she has all of this money she owes, she's using other people's money to fulfill this, whatever need she has, to have dolls, whatever that is. I don't really care where it comes from. We talked yesterday about how she's stuck in a very adolescent frame of mind. Robyn, that is the point, is instead of using the money they had and using it for the right things, they were frivolously throwing it all away. She's saying that Kody wanted her to buy a house, but he didn't want to help with the payment. Okay, he didn't want to come up with a down payment. Okay, he wanted her to finance home. Okay, so her coming up with the down payment herself, her financing the mortgage herself, her paying the mortgage herself, but then Kody getting to use the house and claiming that it's his. But he can't afford it because his wife and he are spending their money on dolls. And Kody is spending the money on trailers and cars and Rolex watches. I would love to know how many watches Kody has. Okay, so that's part of it. I want to show you another clip that I found, and it's about Robyn talking about why she doesn't want to give up Coyote Pass, and it doesn't have anything to do whatsoever with the other women.
Keep it going, make it a full-time pond our little lake,
right.
But our pond, and not have it drain off all the time because it just drains out. There's not enough clay on it. But when it's full, it runs down here, and I would have loved to have fenced it off from the elk, make
it a little exclusive.
Just a trail of aspen trees.
That'd be cool.
Or if the cherry trees would survive here, they survive in town.
Right.
This is a cold sink, but there's just so many cool things you could do.
So I don't know if you know anything about runoff areas and ponds, but the purpose of them is they're not supposed to always be full. The purpose is that they hold water and when a home, when it rains or when it snows, and there's excess water, instead of it pooling in the yard of a home, it drains into this runoff pond, and that's where the water goes, and then it eventually evaporates. It's to keep homes dry, keep property dry, or from flooding. It's not for constantly being used as a lake. It's functional. It's not, some developments have ponds that are pretty, like the development I live in has ponds, and they look really cute, but they are just all they are runoff ponds. I have a drain in the back of my yard that runs, and my yard slopes in a certain way. It's graded to slope, and so the water runs away from my house into the drain, and then once the drain goes into the drain, it goes into a pond about 5-6 houses down from me. If you kept that full all the time, then you would have the pond overflowing and flooding. It needs to be able to drain and to evaporate. But Kody's like, no, I want to fence that off, and I want to have it, cherry trees, and I want to have aspen trees. Like, for what purpose? You can't swim in a man-made PT. It's gross. It has poop in it. And manure and runoff is runoff is runoff. It's chemicals. It can be from farms and where they live. There are pipelines, so it could be oil. It could be the chemicals from the pipeline. That water would be toxic. Okay, so that's Kody's dream, and this is why he's partially holding it up. Robyn's dream is even wilder. I imagine Janelle's gardens, okay.
Gardens, I imagined horses, I imagined all of our houses, I imagined a running trail, I imagined a creek coming from the pond that we planted trees around, and now it's just like gone. Like I always imagined this idea of like, you know, the Brown family grandparents ranch or something. Plenty of animals. It was big, it was beautiful, it was grand, it was wonderful, it was something that our grandkids and our kids were gonna just love.
Okay, imagine that each house has at least, I don't know, in this divvy subdivision, each property H, each home has to have at least 2 acres, okay? That's just 2 acres for the home, so that's 8 acres. So she's envisioning a ranch on the remaining 6 acres of property for a bunch of animals and horses. A quick Google search, Robyn will tell you that 1 horse alone requires 1 to 2 acres of pasture and foliage to sustain themselves in a drier climate like where they are. It's more like 2 acres. So if they have 6 acres left, that means they could have had 3 horses. Max, where the other anal animals going to go? Robyn, is it going to be a rundown ranch? This isn't a 1,700-acre ranch like what they have up in Wyoming. Kody's father inherited down the line through BLM purchases and all this other stuff in Wyoming. When they settled there, they have 1,740 acres. They have cattle. They have horses. They have mostly cattle and horses. It's very dry there, and she's trying to create what they have up in level. But or Powell or wherever they're from, I don't know if you've ever seen aerial photographs of what that area looks like. It is so run down. It is run down. Trailers. Run very beat up homes. Very dilapidated, very poor. The people that are living at this ranch are poor. It's poverty. Ben Brown, who grew up there, has talked about how the living conditions on that ranch are terrible, and that the show never showed what the homes actually looked like. Robyn liked this concept of this ranch again on 1,700 acres, not 15. And so she's envisioning that ranch on 15 acres. You can have cows and horses on smaller acreages, but it has to be good pastures. It has to have the right kind of FO, like vegetation that grows there. It has to have a pretty diverse mix of vegetation. We've got horses and horse ranches where I live, and the fields are huge for the horses, and they're usually very, very green. And lush and Coyote Pass is not that it's dry. It's clay. It's dirt. And because it's dry there most of the time, and it doesn't rain a lot, it would probably be kind of hard to have a lot of horses there, surviving and getting what they need. And then what are you going to add? What other animals? Pigs, cows, because cows would need even more pasture. And then the horses. I don't know if you know, but horses are super expensive to take care of. They're very expensive to take care of. And they're not something like, what are you going to do with the horses? Are you showing the horses? Are the horses working for you? Or do you just want a horse that you can ride? So you just want a luxury horse, like your luxury dolls, because a lot of times on farms, the horses are used when they don't want to use like the tractors and stuff. They can pull things, they can be used for traveling on the farms. So if you don't want to get into a car, you can take the horse out to get to a different part of the pasture or to the property. I live by ranches where they have show horses. So horses that compete in rodeos or that compete in shows. And they're jumping. What are you going to do? Horses with agility. Are you going to train them to be jumping horses? I mean, what are you gonna do with these horses, Robyn, on all of this massive acreage in Coyote Dump Pond land? And then let's not forget that you're gonna put the horses on the bubonic flag, that property is infected with the bubonic plague. Oh, Robyn Wood, she has fantasies that are out of control. And she's the one that's like, Janelle doesn't prioritize her money, so Kody wanted to buy the house for Janelle to buy the house so that they could have the house, so he could have it, and then Robyn wants them to hold on to Coyote Pass so she can have a ranch with 6 acres. Okay, and say they only build one house and it's 2 acres, and then they still have 12 acres for the ranch. Well, she still isn't gonna get the grandma ranch that she wanted. She's like, it's like comparing 1,170 acres to 12 or 15. It does, she lives in LA. But Kody and Robyn have these ridiculous dreams. They spend their money frivolously, and then they're like wondering why it all blew apart. Well, as Janelle said, the reason why her relationship fell apart is because she started to realize what Kody and Robyn were doing with the money. And then her kids got furious and saw what was happening with the money. And then they all left because they were being exploited on a show. And Kody and Robyn were reaping the benefits. It was like they were being pimped out by them. If you knew that your dad was doing this, and then he's not paying for your college, and you're not getting any income from the show, what would you do? So, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching.